Now here's a track that's going to be on my next album I'm working on at the moment. My previous album was about a science fiction subject about the planet Proxima b, which is a possible planet where there may be life, and already existing life. In fact, that they think that they've seen what could be artificial light coming from the planet, which could mean that the planet's quite developed in intelligence, and maybe one day we'll get there. It might take a while. You can find out more about my thoughts on Proxima b in the album Proxima b, which is actually out now. But my new album is going to be all about what happens when you arrive on the planet. Anyway, more about that in another video. But at the moment, I'd just like to show you how I've set up the pan for the stereo effect of mixing the track. So I've got a lot of different tracks here. I've got actually 19 tracks. There's a piano, which I've generally put in the centre, but this time I've put it 10% to the right of centre, just so it's slightly off centre. Normally with pianos I like to spread the stereo, put it close to centre, so that when the stereo spreads out with the bass notes and the treble notes, you get some nice stereo effect there. And if the piano is a dominant instrument, then I may just leave it in the centre, because I want the piano to really cut through. Obviously if you start putting instruments to the side, you're reducing the volume a little bit just by doing that, compared to having them in the centre. I've got a polysynth which is 10% to the left, but it doesn't occur very much in the piece. I've got some violins which I've put 50% to the left, which are in the conventional location for violins. There's another string sequence which is 30% to the right, and I did that just to provide some variety. I've got a second string sequence which is 30% to the left on the other side of the stereo, and I've got an octave string just in a small section which is 20% to the left. So again, a little bit of spread for the strings. I've got a guitar track which is 30% to the left, and I've got a bass which is 25% to the left. But I've got some other synth basses which are in different positions. I've got a synth bass at 50% to the right, another one 10% to the right. So I've spread out those three basses. Somebody mentioned that this is a bit like Spinal Tap with three basses. So yeah, I've tended to find that with my recording of rock music and pop music, I'm tending to use more bass than I ever did in the past, and having multiple bass tracks really thickens up the bass and gives you some nice bass there. Now, one of my signature sounds I use on the last album and this album is an effect called Soundtrack. It's one of the standard MIDI sounds, FX2, and it's kind of very film score-like sound, which it's a synth sound which gives a sort of an ambience effect. And the other thing with this is it's quite interesting that it has a I think a fifth mixed in with the fundamental tonic, so that when you play a chord you get some overtones which are quite interesting. So I really like that sound, and I've used it quite a lot, usually pretty much in the background to create some of the ambience. But anyway, I've got that in the centre because I want it to sort of give some of the ambience. I've got a little bit of Morse code, which is a little bit of a giveaway on this track. The Morse code is code for something, but if you listen to the track when it comes out, you'll find out, if you know Morse code, what the Morse code's saying. Then after the Morse code track, I've got a special effect which I've put in the centre, and then we come to all the drums. And the drums I've just gone for centre in each case because I'm going to use the standard MIDI drum effect to place those across the stereo pan, so we get a nice stereo effect. I've got kick, snare, hi-hat, hand claps, toms and congas. So we've got lots of different drum sounds there, but I've spread them out into separate tracks so that I can edit any mistakes and get it all correct. Once I've done that, I can then add all the other tracks, vocal tracks, etc., into this recording. But the key thing to get across is that I've used the stereo pan to give a nice wide cinematic effect for the recording. If you had less instruments, if you just had a let's say a keyboard, a bass and a guitar, you might put the keyboard in the middle, bass to the left, guitar to the right and drums across the stereo pan. There's something as simple as that. But once you start having lots of tracks, you want to space the instruments out so they don't overlap, and there's some spatial awareness when you listen back to the track, and that gives it so much better sound in the final mix. Please like and subscribe.